A very important message from Dr. Rima Libo. Trump must tackle the UN's plan for global genocide. See the whole thing at band.video.
Trump has appointed an entire slate of globalist henchmen, one after another, from his chief of staff to the appointees that he's chosen to his vice president, who is Peter Thiel's business partner. And if you're looking for a globalist, you'll find one in Peter Thiel. However, every single campaign promise rests on our not being part of the United Nations in order to fulfill that promise. Gender mutilation, or you can fill in the blank and talk about digital currency or any of the issues that people are quite rightly concerned about. These hordes of people flooding across borders around the world are in fact doing what the United Nations wants them to do, which is destroy the national integrity of each and every country anywhere in the world. When we remove our countries from the United Nations, we automatically are removed from the World Health Organization, UNESCO, UNICEF, the International Monetary Fund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If a country, a sovereign country, and a non-country organization conclude a relationship, it's called a contract. And the country is under no obligation to change its laws to meet the contract. So that's a very, very significant difference. There can be no treaties with the United Nations because it's not a sovereign state. It's an unelected nobody's club. Leaving the United Nations is embarrassingly simple. It takes a letter from the head of state to the Secretary General of the United Nations, and the letter says, we're not part of your club anymore, goodbye. That's all it takes. Now, I emphasize it has to be signed by the head of state. In Trump's first term in office, he allegedly removed us from the World Health Organization. He did not. That was twinkle toes nonsense, flim flam. He directed Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, to write the withdrawal letter. In other words, it was a political theatrical stunt. Trump then took twice the annual contribution that the United States makes to the World Health, which should be called World Holocaust Organization, and he gave it to Gavi, which is one of the principal supporters of the World Health Organization. Where do you think double the money went? In the Senate, Mike Lee from Utah, and in the House of Representatives, Chip Roy of Texas and Mike Rogers of Alabama introduced identical legislation, which collectively was called, listen to the words, the Disengaging Entirely from the United Nations Debacle Act. That act required every unit of the United Nations, its headquarters, its peacekeepers, its organizations, its whatever, out of the United States, and the United States out of the United Nations. We have the power now, and we presumably still have the opportunity to inform our leaders that they must do what we say at this juncture. If we do not do this, and the plan of the globalist destructocrats and the controligarchs comes to fruition, people have to understand that is literally the end of humanity. Our DNA will be destroyed for their biodigital convergence enslavement purposes, and the species known as human will cease to exist. That is the explicit articulated plan.
Learn more at preventgenocide2030.org. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.